Thank you so much for being here this evening. My name is Chris Monroe, and it's been my pleasure and privilege to serve as superintendent in Santa Cruz City Schools. Gracias por venir para esta webinar. Mi nombre es Cristina Monroe y yo soy la superintendente de Santa Cruz City Schools. Tonight, Jessica Cerna is here to help with translation. I want to thank her for being here. She's our school community coordinator at Harbor High School. Jessica, can you please give directions about translation?
Buenas tardes, gracias a todos por estar aquí. En un momento, si ustedes ocupan traducción, van a poder ver en la opción de más, va a salir un globo y es interpretación, donde ustedes van a poder escuchar toda la presentación de inglés al español. Gracias.
Thank you, Jessica. And I'd like to introduce our panel here of educators who are excited to welcome you and your family to Santa Cruz City Schools. And I'm going to go around the Zoom room and ask each person to introduce themselves. Catherine, can you start for us?
Hi, I'm Catherine Norton, and I'm the principal at Westlake Elementary.
Tien?
Hi, I'm Tien Hua, principal at De La Vega Elementary.
Amelia?
Hi there, I'm Amelia Von Gehr, and I'm principal of two programs, Monarch Community School and Alternative Family Education Homeschool.
Amy?
Hi everyone, I'm Amy Spires. I'm the principal at Galt Elementary.
Dorothy?
Good evening, I'm Dorothy Coito, Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services.
Casey?
Good evening, everybody. I'm Casey O'Brien. I'm the Director of Student Services. It's nice to see you here.
Sam?
Hi, everybody. I'm Sam Rollins. I'm Chief of Communication for Santa Cruz City Schools.
Sam's going to walk us through a presentation tonight, share with you about some of the things you can expect as your child enters our elementary schools. And during that time, you please feel free to ask questions on the Q&A, and we will answer them, some in writing and some aloud after Sam finishes the presentation. But again, we're excited to have you here and look forward to sharing with you about the amazing programs that our community supports in Santa Cruz City Schools. Thanks, Sam.
Sweet. Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks everyone for being here. We know that this is a big transition. We know that whether you're coming from a home environment or a preschool environment, or whatever you're coming from, this is a big transition. And we know that you're always sort of teetered on a big transition between excitement and anxiety. So we'll do what we can to tip it over into excitement as much as possible. Yeah, and obviously this is a time when students are meeting the world outside the home in a big way. They're meeting more of the neighbors in the community. They're joining the wider community in such a big way. And we really work hard to make sure that kids feel home right from the start of their time in school. So we want to tell you a little bit about how we do that, how we deliver that. We do think that elementary school is the start of a great adventure, and that as students are building confidence to indulge their curiosity, they need belonging, encouragement, and room to explore as they develop a lifelong love of learning, which is what we're aiming at. Anytime we start one of these meetings, we like to begin with our goals and our values. These were put together by staff and our board of trustees years ago. I'm not going to go through all of them in detail. We will post this slide presentation on our website tomorrow so that you'll be able to go through it. The short version is that we believe education is a place that gives everyone that strong and fair start to develop and have a prosperous future, and that it's our responsibility to put all the support and opportunity that we can at the disposal of every student so that they reach their highest potential. Most of these slides are translated side by side, so we won't have to pause for translation, but I do want to give folks time to read through that as well. So that belief and that sort of strong start obviously all starts in elementary. And this is a time when students are really exploring a more complicated and rich social environment exploring and forming so many more peer relationships and a broader set of opportunities. So what we're talking about when we talk about those supports and those opportunities and all of that is primarily what we're going to be talking about here today is our our comprehensive elementary schools, but we do have some other programs that I wanted to mention before we get started. Our schools that I'm going to be talking about are obviously Bayview Elementary on the west side by the circles, De La Viega Elementary in Prospect Heights in Midtown, Galt Elementary in Seabright, Monarch Community School at the Branciforte Small Schools campus at Water Street and North Branciforte, and then Westlake Elementary on the west side, just under UCSC. Now, Monarch is a little bit different. It is a school that you don't need to be districted for. In fact, no one is districted for it. It's a program that you can choose to apply at or enroll at. It's an alternative school built on a slightly different model. There's a lot more parent participation. There's mixed ages in classrooms. It is also not our only sort of school of choice or program of choice. De La Viega also has the Dos Alas program, which is a bilingual dual immersion program, English and Spanish. That too is a program that you can apply for no matter where you are in the district. And we also have another program called AFE, Alternative Family Education. And so most of what I'm going to be talking about is our four sort of comprehensive elementary schools, but we also have this program, which is essentially a homeschool program that is supported and put together in collaboration with credentialed teachers. So families can work with teacher consultants to design the curriculum that fits them best around their student. And the other cool thing about AFE is that it's we offer a balance of autonomy and like collaboration and a cohort. The school has its own little campus out on the Branciforte Small Schools campus as well, where families can make the decision to come to school for the enrichment classes that they hold throughout the week and kind of build your own balance of independence and a cohort that you're going to be part of. So we're not going to be covering that many specifics on those programs. I do encourage you to go to these websites if you want more info for AFE and Monarch. You can also go to the De La Viega website, or since you're here, you can of course write questions about these programs into the Q&A because we have the principals for them here. Okay, so what we're going to cover today is everything that we think you should know before starting in elementary school. And the way we kind of look at this in general is we work hard to provide a warm welcome to students that are coming in, whether those are 5-year-olds that you've decided to start in kindergarten or 4-year-olds you've decided to start in TK. The elements that we're going to be covering today is the importance of knowing the entire child and how we work to accomplish that, the impact of hands-on learning at school and what those opportunities look like, how we deliver customized instruction around students and what our academic supports look like. We'll talk about how development goes beyond the classroom, this idea that, of course, we're helping students not just to become learners, but navigate growing up and becoming learning to know themselves as people as well. We'll talk a little bit about our teachers and what their approach is at our schools. We'll talk about the whole child approach, which kind of speaks to what I was just saying. We'll talk about behavioral and mental health supports. We'll talk about how we ensure all our welcome and the value of a strong diversity and variety of perspectives on a school campus. And we'll have a brief school safety overview. And that probably sounds like a lot, but it isn't that much, and I talk relatively quickly. So, okay. Like I said, whether you're coming from largely a home environment or a preschool environment, this is a big change. And enough time is spent at the school that we really want to work to make it feel like home right away. So one of the ways that we do that is we start with an instructor to student ratio of 1 to 12. That's the maximum that we have in TK. Kinder is largely the same. And really, this is just because younger students, you know, there's so much value in having that strong relationship with an instructor, and we really work hard to get to know students as much and soon as possible. And that's just not their name and their needs and strengths and learning styles, but everything down to their favorite color. That ratio changes as you progress through elementary school and students begin to develop more of an appetite for independence. But we start with that lower ratio so that students can be very well known in their first classroom. We also have licensed counselors at our elementary schools, and I bring this up because it's not necessarily typical in elementary, and we take every opportunity that we can to express our gratitude for Santa Cruz, the greater Santa Cruz community. The only reason that we're able to have licensed counselors in elementary is because the greater Santa Cruz community voted for measures T and U in 2020, and that allows us to have those robust emotional, social, and mental health supports on our campus as well. And another way that we work hard, or another opportunity for creating a sense of belonging, is to welcome families on campus as much as possible as well. There's a lot of ways to be connected and included on campus, whether it's the parent-teacher organizations that are active on your campus, volunteering in class, and the numerous volunteering opportunities. I'll talk about that a little bit more later, and a calendar of events and festivals and fun things that bring families onto campus. That goes a long way to making students feel like it is their home, because they can, they see how connected their family is as well. Did I skip one? I did skip one. All this is built to sort of form a relationship with the student that will drive great learning and development. And so, of course, what are they going to be learning? Within the classroom, we do have core curriculum that all students, that forms the basis of the classroom learning. And then through elementary school, this is developing a mastery of language, arts, reading, writing, comprehension, math, science, social studies, and critical thinking. The beginnings of this happen in TK and Kinder, but it's a much more play-based environment where students are beginning to interact with these and beginning to explore these areas. And but the classroom is not the only place where learning takes place. We have at our elementary schools what we call specials. They are classrooms and learning spaces outside the traditional classroom that allow students to really get their hands on and have more tactile and kinetic experiences than just being in the classroom. So first we have the garden, the Life Lab garden, which is taught by a dedicated garden teacher, where within the garden classroom, students will explore ecology, biology, life science. They'll even work together to grow, harvest, and prepare food together to get an interaction of food systems as well. And this speaks to the idea of learning with the heart, the head, and the hands, and the importance of being able to go out in the real world and connect what you're learning to actual specific contexts that you can see around you. And on that note, they also, students right at the beginning in even TK will begin going out of their classroom to the band room, where we have a credentialed music teacher who will help them play music and explore music. And this, of course, helps them develop fine motor skills. But also there's a lot of social and emotional development that goes on there too, cooperation and expression. And then students will also have the opportunity in the upper grades to join essentially an after-school elective band course, beginning and intermediate band, where they can pursue mastery of a specific instrument. And it also gives them an opportunity to perform at their school and take some agency in what they're doing, right? And be able to say, they can choose an instrument and pursue it at school. We also have an art studio, which is taught by a dedicated and credentialed art teacher. And of course, they'll be interacting with art within the classroom as well. But we really think that there's a huge benefit that comes from being able to leave the traditional classroom, go into the art space, and not only develop creativity and self-expression with drawing and painting and ceramics and things like that, but if you talk to our art teachers, I always like how they talk about how really it is also a way to explore and develop problem solving. But it's such an unstructured problem solving to which there is no right answer, that's really good for the brain, while students are also learning things like math, where there actually is a right answer. So being able to explore problem solving in that way is really beneficial. And then, of course, we have our library classrooms, which are taught by, again, credentialed, dedicated teacher librarians, who not only give students an opportunity to develop a love of reading and explore the resources in the library, but they also do the work of developing safe strategies and effective strategies on interacting with technology and the internet, developing skepticism and safety practices when you're online, because our students also learn, for lack of a better way to put it, in the 21st century, where they develop tech literacy and even begin to explore the building blocks of computer coding in school as well. And everything, all of these specials, as we call them, are possible as well because of Santa Cruz's support for Measures T and U. So we're really grateful to the community that these things are there, and really happy that we're able to offer them to students. Because, all kids have different styles of learning, and they all will have to interact academically with curriculum, but also kinetically. And we work to make spaces for all different types of learners on campus. And I always kind of think, whatever your learning style, it's also good for you to have to spend time outside of your preferred learning style, whatever it is. And a variety ensures that, because, students will have to learn to work both within and without their comfort zones as they're learning. But it's not all just letting students play and explore. There are dedicated supports, academic supports that we build around our students. And the way that we individualize these is through the work of our RTI coordinators, which sounds very technical. RTI stands for Response to Intervention. But who these resources are, it's two RTI coordinators on each elementary school campus, one largely specializing in math, one in language arts. These are credentialed teachers who, rather than teaching a specific classroom, support all classrooms and help teachers keep track of and know all the students, to know their learning styles, but also know what challenges they're facing and where their strengths are, so that they can build customized supports around each student. And this is everything from supporting the classroom to make sure that it is accessible to that student, pulling small groups together of like learners so that they can work together, or even giving one-on-one instruction throughout the day. And the other cool thing that RTI coordinators do is they work with teachers to look for opportunities of what we call extension, where a student who has a particular appetite or aptitude in a subject area is able to get room to explore and continue moving through that subject area, regardless of their grade level. Of course, we also have broad supports for English learners and supports in special education. And we also have thriving after-school opportunities, which is so important. We gave it its own slide because after-school programs are not only really wonderful for social emotional development. Anyone with a commute knows that it's sometimes a vital piece of practicality in your school day. So all of our schools do have after-school programs. I do advise that if you are interested in an after-school program, to enroll right at the start of our enrollment window, which is going to be after the holidays, just because these are very popular programs. And if you sign up right when you enroll your student, you'll have a good chance of getting it. Okay, so we give all of these opportunities and supports because obviously the process of learning is more complicated than mastering reading or math. We want to create an environment where students are thriving and learning to understand themselves in confidence that they're in an environment where they are really supported. And of course, that comes down to teachers. A classroom, a school, even a school district are only as good as its teachers. So all of our teachers are credentialed. They also have access to up-to-the-minute pedagogy, which essentially just means that they have the ability to continue training and developing as professionals, so they can be leaders in their field. And they're also very collaborative. Grade level teachers work together a great deal, but they also will work with the grades below and above them so that they can be working together with their colleagues to ensure that that each cohort of students is very well known when they move into the next grade. They'll even work with their colleagues to help build classes that will be conducive for each group of students, and make sure that as students are progressing in school, they remain very well known and teacher familiarity with them is strong. And this ties in somewhat to what I mentioned at the outset, which is the whole child approach. This idea that, this is the time in life when students are getting to know themselves and getting to know sort of to navigate the context around them and build the tools that they'll need to be successful in, emotional relationships and developing patience in all of these things that we are doing as we're growing up that go beyond reading proficiency. So, like I said, we have licensed counselors at all of our elementary schools who have open doors. They're also very good at making themselves well known on campus. They're out and they're involved and they're getting to know kids to make it easy for them to be approached. But we also they're not the only ones working on these issues with kids. We have positive behavior intervention teams. We call them our PBIS techs at school, and they're a team that really goes around supporting kids in all spaces on campus, looking for learning opportunities to help teach them conflict resolution, self-regulation, to help them navigate, the process of building and maintaining all these relationships with each other. Our schools do run something called PBIS, Positive Behavior Intervention System, I believe, and that's really just a system of setting and communicating very clear behavior expectations in every context on a school campus, and then calling out and rewarding good behavior. And this is data supported to improve behavior for all students. But the other thing that it does is it helps sort of bring up and continue a constant conversation about good behavior, about the way that we impact each other, and about all the relationships that we're maintaining on a campus. Our school counselors provide guidance within the classroom and with our staff to be literate in social, emotional, sort of developmental terminology, to know the markers of distress, but also to implement the social and emotional developmental curriculum that we actually have as part of the classroom. Students will be talking about these things in the classroom, naming their emotions, managing their emotions, navigating frustrations and difficult situations as they're developing as people. That's curriculum that they deal with in the classroom as well, to drive self-understanding. And then, of course, our schools are also hubs of family support resources. There's a lot of ways that we can support families in need of all kinds, but we also maintain a complex network of relationships with community support resources all over town and all over the county, so that we can help families get any support that they need as well. So of course, a student can't accomplish any of this unless they are and unless they feel safe physically and emotionally. So we wanted to give an overview of school safety. Firstly, we follow the data that is collected extensively by the Secret Service, which points to the largest factor in school safety being connectedness and relationships on a campus. And so we invest a lot of time and resources into student engagement and fostering student connection and relationships on a campus. We also support, of course, our students with the mental health resources that I mentioned. And our staff also trains regularly for crises with first responders from across the county. And we're really happy that now all school districts and first responders in the county are using the same framework for crisis response, so that we can have a strong unified response anytime something happens. I shouldn't say it out loud, but we're coming out of fire season, but we run drills for fires near campuses and that sort of thing. We also have all of our schools now have smart lock systems, which give appropriate access only to people with the right key card. And the other thing that this system allows is for any teacher or staff member to immediately lock down any space on campus very quickly. And we do want all of our incoming parents to know that you do have access to an autonomous tip and alert, or anonymous tip and alert system at your school campus. If you go to the family or parent tab of any website of our elementary schools, you can scroll to the bottom and click on report a concern, which will allow you to anonymously make any concern known to your school staff. And that is a monitored inbox, so that that anything that's entered there does get sent immediately, escalated along to school staff. So again, this is all sort of descriptions of how we create an environment that supports a student's process of understanding themselves and gaining confidence as they build their process for understanding. You know, elementary school in particular is such a time where we're learning about the people around us and learning how to build tools and be comfortable in managing ourselves, you know, in groups, in work, and in our thinking, and in our effort and perseverance as well. We really work to try to make that work comfortable and engaging for students. And of course, that can't happen unless we also are working with a strong sense of belonging. So obviously, diversity can mean a lot of different things. It can mean, you know, ethnic diversity, socioeconomic diversity, religious diversity. We sort of mean anything and everything when we bring it up. And we're very proud of our schools as places where we offer the same warm welcome to everyone. But even beyond that, on a practical sense, we like making the point that diversity, whatever you mean by it, diversity of perspectives and experiences, really drives broader and faster development for all students. And that developing minds need that variety. They need each other. They need difference to interact with. And the greater variety of perspectives within a classroom, the greater the student's connection to their society, to their community, and the faster their social and emotional development goes. So it's a point of pride that our campuses are so diverse as well. And we really encourage incoming parents to get involved in any way and every way that you're interested in. And we want to make sure that as we're talking about this warm welcome for students, that you feel that as well. That you're welcome in classrooms where there's numerous volunteering opportunities. You're welcome on field trips, which I've volunteered on a ton of field trips for my kids, and it's always fun, even when, you know, there are meltdowns or disasters. Obviously, you're welcome at events and festivals on campus. You're also welcome on the PTOs or PTAs, the groups of people who are planning those events and festivals. And I really can't encourage you enough to get involved on a campus, because it's a great way to get to know the staff, to get to know other parents, and to get to know your kids' friends and cohort and everyone that they're, you know, involved with. But we also even have committees that you can get involved with at school. Every one of our schools has a bond site committee and a school site committee, and where you can give input on the bond site committee into our ongoing bond work at the school site. We're modernizing and repairing a lot of our campuses right now. And the school site committee, you can talk about, you know, what's most important and what needs are greatest at school. We also have English learner advisory committees at all of our school sites, where families can get involved, give a lot of input in our English learner supports and sort of what that it looks like and what's needed there. We also have DLAC, which is the district-wide version of that, of the English Learner Advisory Council. And if you go to our school district website, we also have a number of other committees, everything from Green Schools Committee to our Tech Task Force, where you can get involved giving input in district-wide discussions as we're developing services and frameworks going forward. So there's a lot of opportunities to both provide support and leadership at your school and in your district that we can't encourage you enough to get involved in. Okay, so that is largely it, the big information download of everything to expect. What are good next steps? Well, if you want to learn more about your school, I do encourage you to reach out directly to your principal. They have all agreed to show their emails on this page. You can also go to your school's website I encourage you to do that. And they're all full, right on the front page. There's a list of upcoming events. And so you can see what's going on at school. You can even see which ones are public. You know, the schools all have regular public events throughout the year. So you can go and check it out. All of the schools will be having TK or kinder info nights coming up. But you can also always schedule a tour. You can just reach out directly to the principal to schedule one. Some schools also have regular times throughout the week where they will hold tours. And I did want everyone to know that if you're not sure exactly who to contact at a school, you can always scroll down to the bottom of any page of your school's website. And down at the bottom, there's a contact form where you can ask your question and it will be sent straight to your school's office. And so, yeah, in the coming months, there should be a lot of opportunities for you to explore and get to know your school better. There's also a spot on our district website if you're interested in the community tab, where we have lots of videos from our schools, so you can sort of, you know, hear from students, families, and teachers at a particular school, to, you know, just get another glimpse of sort of what life is like at school. But for now, I will stop talking and let us interact with some questions. And thank you.
There's been several questions about the cutoff date for TK. I'm going to ask our student services director to talk a little bit about enrollment and who's eligible for TK. We're excited to be moving forward with all four-year-olds having access to TK next year. So Casey, can you fill folks in?
Yes, the students who turn 5 before September 2nd, 2025 are eligible for kindergarten. So that's next fall, September 2nd. They're eligible if they turn 5 before then for kindergarten. Students who turn 5 between September 2nd, 2025 and September 1st, 2026. So that's the following year, are eligible for TK.
So if they're 4 by September 1st, they can
Yes,
come in, correct?
exactly,
To TK.
exactly. So imagine that 3-year-olds in TK could actually happen for the first month of school, or half a month, 3/4 of a month.
Yeah, I remember we had it that came up in conversation at one point at the district office, and some jaws dropped. Oh my God, that's true.
Yeah, it's interesting.
So yeah, and every year for the past few years, our TK window has widened very slightly. So it is kind of nice. This is the first year where it's essentially, if you're 5 by, would you say September 2nd, you're in kinder, and if you're 4 by September 1st, you're in TK. That makes it a lot easier to communicate than what we've had for the past few years.
Exactly.
And it's been a great program and really exciting to see what that's meant for our younger students and the way that they grow over the course of a year is pretty amazing. Do you have any other questions for us? So there's a question about, are there any short TK options available, or are they all full day? TK is full day, it's a requirement, and we're also required to provide at least up to a 9-hour day for those families that need after school care. So it's a full school day for sure. There isn't any half days.
Can I weigh in on that, Chris?
Yes.
So again, I'm Catherine. I'm the principal at Westlake. We recently moved to extended day TK. I think this is our 2nd year. And I've spoken with a lot of parents who are very concerned about if their child was going to be okay. And I have to say we have extended day TK. Students are there all day and they do amazing. Our teachers really structure the classes with the needs of the student in mind. So a lot of the small group instruction or the whole group instruction is done in the morning. After lunch, we typically in our TK classrooms, at least at Westlake, we have a rest time. So they're able to actually lie flat on the ground, have a rest. We do have some students that fall asleep. Other students will just play with a stuffy or read a book or get up after 20 minutes or so. And we really allow the afternoons to be more gross motor play in the classroom. So it's a lot of what we call big workshop. It's a lot of tinkering with things. And so it's really developmentally appropriate. Kind of the heavy mental load is in the morning, and the afternoon is it's all play. Not that TK isn't all play based anyway, but in the afternoon it's really focused on play. And that's also when we tend to see a lot of our specials like art and music and PE and some of the really fun things that kids look forward to in the afternoon. So it seems long and it definitely takes an adjustment, but we've seen our students be really successful with the extended day.
Honestly, that's not too different from my son's in first grade, and the last hour of class is, some kids are playing in groups, some kids are drawing, and some kids are just sort of lying in the quiet corner.
Is there anyone that would like to describe a kindergarten day?
I'd take a shot at it. So a typical kindergarten day, kindergarten and TK at De La Vega is a great time for families to grow with their children. And so oftentimes we see a lot of excitement in the mornings before school. The families gather in our kindergarten yard and they socialize, they have fun, they talk to each other. We also serve breakfast for free. And so for families that would rather spend time in the cafeteria instead of in traffic, it's a great place to have a little bit of a morning boost before school starts. And then when the school day starts, the children generally they come in and they have circle time. They have an opportunity to socialize with one another. And then a lot of the content that Catherine was talking about is presented in the morning. So we have reading, we have writing, we have math, we have all those content areas being taught in the mornings. And they have lunch, and in the afternoons, they usually do things outside. They usually get active. We have specials like Life Lab, dance. Uh, some schools have music. And so it's just a great opportunity for kids to get their academics in the morning and their wiggles out in the afternoon, and they're pretty much active all day.
Someone like to talk about parent volunteer opportunities. How often can a parent volunteer in the kindergarten classroom?
I will answer that. We are always grateful to have parent volunteers in our classrooms. Parents can volunteer as often as they like. Our classrooms really are based on a lot of centers and a lot of small group learning. And so it really takes more than just a teacher and a classroom paraeducator to be able to deliver that. And so we are always happy to provide the opportunity to have parents involved in our TK and kindergarten classes in particular. So please definitely, once you enroll, check into that. And we have a process for getting parents onboarded for that into our classrooms for volunteers and as well as other opportunities for chaperones, and any way you want to be there, we're glad to have you.
Thanks, Amy. Here's another question. Besides parent-teacher conferences, how do teachers, TK and K in particular, and administrators partner with parents to ensure good information flow and communication? So how does communication happen home?
Well, I can speak for GALT. Our TK and K teachers, all of our teachers really at GALT, have regular newsletters that go home, weekly newsletters that really speak to what's happening in the classroom and sort of that conduit. This is what's happening. This is what we need. And so I feel like there is that constant communication, and all teachers also welcome any discrete conversations with families who would need more information about their particular student. And I think I can speak for all of us where we also send out newsletters and things that talk about our broader community and opportunities to be involved in what's happening at school.
There's lots of questions about after-school programs. Maybe we should talk about them a little bit. There's some differences. Bayview and Galt have the ACES program. De La Viega and Westlake have the CKC program, and Monarch has the Sprouts program. So I'm going to ask you to share a little bit about each. Amy, can you start by talking about ACES a little bit, how people apply, and how people get access to that program, and then we'll talk about CKC and then Sprouts.
Okay, happily. Yeah, Chris, as you mentioned, for TK families, we have the guaranteed 9-hour days for our TKs, which includes access to our ACES program. We start taking applications as soon as enrollment starts. We do have caps on how many students we can take, starting with K and up. So we sometimes have a waiting list, but we definitely try to get as many students as we can into the program. It's after school. It's not just an after school daycare. It really, we try to provide enrichment opportunities for our students to be able to do different activities in our life lab, in doing art projects, academic for our older students in particular, to do homework and other school-based enrichment like that. And so we try to keep it as an extended school day, but also with lots of fun. They also get to move a lot and do a lot of different activities. We try to bring in as much as enrichment as we can to make it not just daycare.
Here we actually have the director of CKC in our audience. So I'm going to have Amelia go ahead and share about Sprouts, and then I'm going to invite Drew to be a panelist for a couple minutes to share a little bit about CKC.
Sprouts Aftercare is a small program. We have space for all Monarch students. We haven't had capacity issues. And it's a really fun play-based environment. It's free for a variety of families if you qualify for different reasons. So that's something that's family case-by-case basis, and there's sliding scale for some families too, and other families pay the full amount. If you're wondering about their pricing and that kind of stuff, you can look at their website, which is Sprouts. If you Google Sprouts Aftercare, it comes up. Sproutsaftercare.com.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Amelia. Drew, can you tell folks a little bit about how to register their students for CKC if they're at Westlake or De La Viega?
Yes, so for registration specifically for TK, because we do offer that priority under expanded learning, you'll just indicate that they are in TK on the application. Those come out in the spring. I do not have the exact date on that, but we typically bring flyers out and send the information to the school's main office. And then from there, after you fill out an application, CKC's administration will then reach out regarding enrollment. But we are planning on offering TK, Kinder, just as we usually do at our on-site childcare program. And because we are on site, our staff do walk to the classrooms and we bring the kids down all together. Once they get into first grade and up, the kids are expected to walk down on their own. But we're really focusing right now, because TK is getting younger, we're focusing a lot on training staff and hiring more so what we formerly would have preschool qualified staff, bringing some more preschool staff into our after schools to help provide the support that TKers need. So I'd say just be on the lookout or come, I'd say about mid-March, we'll have more information out and we'll send that information directly to the school sites.
Drew, can you please share your website?
Yeah, our website is campuskidsconnection.com.
Great. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me.
Chris, I thought I should share just briefly about enrollment. There weren't questions about enrollment, and it can be confusing, particularly for families that are new to the district. So I wanted just to alert you that our district website is very informative. Sam Rollins does a great job organizing it. And if families go to the families pull down menu and open that right away, and it shows enrollment and registration. And there you can find all the steps you need to enroll your student if you're new to our district, or if you're a family that already has a kiddo with us but has a new kid coming, or maybe you decide you'd like to go to a school that's not your neighborhood school. All those different things can be answered there on that spot. That's families and enrollment and registration.
There's a question about aftercare programs. Are all grade levels combined in after-school programs? I think it's probably maybe a little different for all three.
Other than keep typing, I'm going to answer the question that I was replying to about grade levels being combined for aftercare. It's a little bit of both. I can speak for ACEs. We have paraeducators, we have staff who are dedicated to oversee certain grade levels, and so they're mostly engaged with their peers, but there are opportunities also for the students to have combined activities as well. So they're not completely sequestered from each other, but they do have grade level specific activities and opportunities so that they can do things that are age appropriate at and aftercare.
Are there any other questions? We really want to thank you all for joining us this evening. I see one more question. There's Drew is sharing about CKC at Westlake and De La Vega. There's opportunities for kids to combine with other age groups for activities and projects, but there's also time to get dedicated to specific age appropriate curriculum, just for the young ones. I think it's similar at in all the programs. I imagine, and I remember being the parent of a kindergartner many years ago, and it's an exciting time, and it's also a little scary time to have your kids going off to school without you for the first time. And I imagine that you're going to have lots of questions, and we're here to answer them. Feel free to reach out. As the parent of graduates from our school district, I can say that there's lots of great ways for families to be involved and for kids to thrive and find their place, to find their people, find their passions, and that's what we're here to do. We're here to support your students and you. I'm seeing a few more questions, so we'll go ahead and take those before we wrap up. But I just want to say that we're here to support you and to answer questions as you prepare for your kids' first day of school. There's a question about, do most kids get admitted into Monarch or Dos Elis? We typically have a waiting list for both programs. And encourage you to explore them if those are programs that you're interested in having your child participate in. Not seeing any other questions as we are getting ready to close. Again, please reach out to your school site if you'd like to get a tour, you'd like to learn more. Come attend a parent-teacher meeting. Our home and school clubs, our PTAs, our parent organizations, the Monarch Community Board, all of those organizations welcome new parents to come. You can talk directly to families who are actively engaged at the school and learn more. And thank you again for being here. Have a great night.